Your book talks about a couple different theories of persuasion, and we're going to be covering one of them in this chapter, and that is the social judgment theory. Now, social judgment theory states that people's perceptions exist on a continuum, and that when we are persuading someone, we have to understand what the discrepancy is between the viewpoint that you are advocating for and the viewpoint that the audience already holds. So here's that continuum that I was talking about. As you can see, it ranges from complete disagreement on the part of the audience all the way to complete agreement with various different steps in between. Because some people are going to disagree with you right off the bat. As soon as they know your topic, they're going to say, I don't know that I agree with the position that this speaker is putting forth. Whereas others are going to be completely on your side from the start, and therefore persuasion is going to be a lot easier, right? There's kind of three different areas here. And this theory calls them the latitudes. So your audience could either fall into the latitude of rejection, where they either completely disagree, could strongly disagree, or disagree in part with your topic. They could fall into the latitude of non-commitment, where they have a neutral feeling towards the topic and could potentially be swayed one way or the other. Or they could fall into the latitude of agreement, or rather the latitude of acceptance, where they agree in part, strongly agree, or completely agree with the position that you've taken. So some people are going to disagree with you from the off, others are going to think that it's a great idea, and some others are going to have really no opinion either way. And messages are most likely to succeed, so you're most likely to persuade, to get the audience to do the thing that you want them to do, if your topic, if your position falls into their latitude of agreement, or rather their latitude of acceptance, right? If they agree with your position. And so the messages are going to be positively evaluated and all of these sorts of things. But we are going to find ourselves in situations where our position falls into someone's latitude of rejection. And in these cases, it's going to be a lot more difficult to persuade. So we have to understand what the discrepancy is between the position that you hold and the position that the audience holds. For example, you could be persuading your audience that Italian food is better than Mexican food, okay? And let's say that you are facing an audience that this attitude falls into their latitude of acceptance, that they agree with you that Italian food is better than Mexican food. And maybe your specific purpose is to get them to go out and get Italian food tonight. So if your audience either strongly agrees with you or completely agrees or at least agrees in part, it's going to be a lot easier for you to persuade them to then go get Italian food tonight. Whereas if you are facing an audience where that position falls into their latitude of rejection, they either completely disagree with you, strongly disagree with you, or disagree with you in part, they are not going to want to go get Italian food no matter how much you're persuading them, right? Especially if they completely disagree. So if you are trying to persuade someone and it falls deeply into their latitude of rejection, sometimes it can have this sort of boomerang effect where now they're going to go get Mexican food instead, right? They go completely opposite of what you are saying. So really we have to understand where the audience is and where you stand so that you know how much you can persuade someone. Because over the course of one single speech, you aren't going to get someone who completely disagrees with your position to then completely agree with you by the end of your speech. It's just not possible. You might get them to move from complete disagreement to strong disagreement, or maybe even to disagreement in part, but you can only take a couple of these steps at a time. And if someone's neutral, it's a little bit easier to get them to move a little bit, but again, you're probably not going to get them to completely agree with you one way or the other. So we have to know how big that discrepancy is so that we have sort of realistic expectations for how our audience is going to react to the position that we are putting forth. And that's where audience analysis really comes in handy. Right? We have to know our audience, we have to know what their pre-existing values, beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors are so that we know how much we can ask of them without making them turn away from us.